This is a 30 ampere 12 volt power supply. Since the power supply is not working, I have already removed one of the transistors because it was faulty and I need to replace it with a new one. In order to repair the power supply, I also have to remove the other transistor. This transistor is a 1309D transistor. Now let's check both transistors. You can check the transistor using a multimeter. Place one probe on the base and then check the other probe on the collector and emitter. On both sides there is a short circuit. This means that this transistor is faulty. Let's check the other one. When I check it, you can see the reading. This one is good. However, I am going to replace both transistors. I bought 13909L transistors, which have the same specifications. Let's replace the old transistors with these new ones. Before installing them, I wanted to make sure that the pinouts were correct. So, I checked the datasheet and confirmed that the pinouts are the same as the existing transistors. Now, we can install the new transistors and fix the unit. I think this is the only fault with this power supply. Since this is a 30 ampere power supply, I am planning to use it as a bench power supply. Therefore, I replaced the original voltage adjustment variable resistor with a larger potentiometer. This will help me adjust the output voltage up to 15 volts. I have soldered the transistors as well. But before testing the power supply, make sure to check all the solder connections carefully. If there are any disconnected or poor solder joints, you need to fix them as well. Now, connect the fan and the variable resistor as well. Now, it's time to test the power supply. As I expected, there was no other issue apart from the faulty transistor. So the power supply is working well. Remember, when you reduce the voltage using the potentiometer, the speed of the fan will also decrease. This is normal. There is no overheating and no burning smell either. However, it is risky to keep the power supply running continuously while the heat sinks are not properly fixed. Therefore, let's assemble the power supply now. Make sure to assemble all the parts correctly and use the thermal sealant and other components properly. An SMPS is one of the most important parts of modern electronic equipment. You can find this technology inside televisions, desktop computers, monitors, DVD players, LED lighting systems, audio equipment, battery chargers, industrial machines, CCTV systems, and countless other electronic devices. At first glance, an SMPS may look like a simple circuit board filled with capacitors, transformers, coils, resistors, diodes, and transistors. But behind these components is a carefully designed high-frequency switching system that converts electrical energy efficiently and provides the required output voltage. So, what exactly does an SMPS do? In a traditional linear power supply, the incoming AC voltage is first reduced using a large transformer, then rectified and filtered to produce DC voltage. The problem is that traditional transformers can be large, heavy, and inefficient, especially when higher power is required. An SMPS works differently. Instead of continuously reducing the voltage in a large transformer, an SMPS first converts the incoming AC voltage into DC. This DC voltage is then switched on and off at a very high frequency using a switching transistor or MOSFET. This high-frequency switching allows a much smaller transformer to be used. The transformer then transfers the electrical energy to the secondary side while also providing electrical isolation in many common designs. After that, the high-frequency AC is rectified and filtered again to produce a stable DC output. This switching process happens thousands of times per second, and in many modern power supplies, the switching frequency can be much higher. One of the biggest advantages of an SMPS is efficiency. Because the switching transistor spends much of its operating time either fully on or fully off, less energy is wasted as heat compared with a conventional linear regulator. This means an SMPS can deliver a significant amount of power while remaining relatively small and lightweight. However, an SMPS is also much more complicated to troubleshoot. When an SMPS fails, the problem may not always be obvious. A single shorted MOSFET can cause the main fuse to blow. A failed startup resistor can prevent the power supply from starting. A damaged PWM controller can stop the switching circuit completely. A faulty electrolytic capacitor can cause unstable output voltage, excessive ripple, clicking sounds, or repeated startup and shutdown. There are also components such as bridge rectifiers, optocouplers, feedback circuits, secondary rectifier diodes, snubber networks, thermistors, and protection circuits that can all play an important role in the operation of the power supply. Understanding the basic operation of an SMPS makes troubleshooting much easier. Normally, the AC input first passes through protection and filtering components. A fuse provides protection against excessive current, while an NTC thermistor can help limit the large inrush current that occurs when the power supply is switched on. The AC voltage is then rectified by a bridge rectifier. The resulting DC voltage is stored in a large primary side electrolytic capacitor. This is an important point because the primary capacitor can hold a dangerous voltage even after the power supply has been disconnected from the mains. The switching transistor then rapidly switches this DC voltage. The resulting high-frequency signal is applied to the transformer. On the secondary side, the voltage is rectified and filtered to produce the required output, such as 5 volts, 12 volts, 24 volts, or another specified voltage. But how does the SMPS maintain a constant output when the load changes? This is where the feedback circuit becomes important. The output voltage is monitored and compared with a reference. An optocoupler is commonly used to transfer feedback information from the isolated secondary side back to the primary side controller. If the output voltage becomes too low, the controller can adjust the switching operation. If the voltage becomes too high, it can reduce the energy transferred to the secondary side. This continuous feedback process allows the SMPS to maintain a relatively stable output voltage under changing load conditions. Another important feature is protection. Modern SMPS designs can include over-voltage protection, over-current protection, short-circuit protection, over-temperature protection, and other safety mechanisms. When a serious fault is detected, the controller may shut down the switching circuit or repeatedly attempt to restart. So an SMPS is much more than just a transformer and a few components. It is a complete power conversion system involving rectification, filtering, high-frequency switching, transformer isolation, feedback control, regulation, and protection. In this project, we are going to take a closer look at an SMPS unit and understand how its major components work together. We will also look at the common failure points and how to approach troubleshooting logically instead of simply replacing components randomly. And most importantly, whenever you work on an SMPS, remember that the primary side can contain lethal voltages. Always disconnect the power before handling the circuit. As you can see, this power supply is working perfectly, and we can adjust the output voltage all the way up to 15 volts. Have you ever tried building a bench power supply like this? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your project and experience. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more electronics projects, repairs, and DIY videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.